Humanitarians. I'm Cole Williams, and you're watching House the Houseless, Music and Action. The Black Panthers coined the phrase power to the people during the freedom movement. Today, right now, in this moment, we are all called to uplift those people that you don't make eye contact with and pass on the street, the least of ours. We gotta dig deep, and we gotta dig deeper. We gotta scream, we gotta shout, we gotta bang on doors, and we gotta let them know to empower the people. We must give power to the people.
Yesterday is far away, my tomorrow's your today. Nothing's what it really seems to be. Walk the road less traveled, then you find yourself in trouble. Some people don't want some people to be free. Spending all our time on the other side, dance 'cause the whole world's watching you. You are life's pop culture. If you don't, then they don't wanna. Hold up your head, give power to the truth. We give power to the people. We give in power to the people. We push in power to the people. We give in power to the people. We give power to the people. We give in power to the people. We give in power to the people. We give in that power to the people. We got power to the people. We give that power to the people. We give in power to the people. We give in power to the people. We give power to the people. We give that power to the people. We give that power to the people. We give that power to the people. Ooh, smile like there's no hurt inside. Live with dignity and pride. Loving like your heaven's here on earth. Dusting off your shoulders what lies in domestic corners. Breathe in, breathe out, relax, release the hurt. Some people never lose. They never felt the news of oppression by others who win only when they abuse. How we treat the bottom, where you go is where you come from. Hold up your head, give power to the truth. We give power to the people. We give it power to the people. We give it power to the people. We give it power to the people. We got power to the people. We give that power to the people. We give that power to the people. We give that power to the people. We got power to the people. Give him that power to the people. Like the king that he is to the people. Make sure you give power to the people. Give your queen power to the people. Your empress power to the people. Say his name to the people. Don't be afraid to the people. Just walk it out to the people. And we got power to the people. We got power to the people. We got power to the people. We got power to the people.
I still got it, Cole.
I like how we just packed up. Hello.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, I'd like to welcome everyone here to another episode of House the Houseless. And today we're going to head down to New Orleans, where the vibrant pulse of the city meets the resident beats of social change. In this episode, we shine a spotlight on an extraordinary journey of Miss Cole Williams, a musical force and a relentless advocate for the unhoused in the Crescent City. Now, from the streets of Brooklyn, to the soulful tapestry of New Orleans, Cole Williams has woven a narrative that transcends genres. As a musician, a songwriter, producer, and humanitarian, her melodies echo with a purpose that extends far beyond the stage. So today, we're going to explore the intersections of art, activism, delving into the story of a woman who not only crafts soulful, stirring anthems, but also spearheads tangible change in her community. In an era where every note carries a call to action, Cole Williams stands as a luminary, a beacon of hope for a more equitable world. Today, we explore the artistry and activism of Cole Williams and dive into the pressing issues of social justice and houselessness in the vibrant city of New Orleans. Obviously, you can support musicians. Please visit her Bandcamp page as we do. And Cole, I'd like to welcome you to the show. How are you?
I'm great. What a warm welcome. I love it.
Yes, I'm here with my partner in crime, Mr. Lewis Marks. He shared his spot here with me. Hello, Lewis.
I like it.
It's good. It's good to be back together again, Fabian. It's been a minute.
It's like real life right here. I love it.
I know. It's nice to touch base.
100%.
So many things happening. So many things happening on the ground. Just want to say shout out to Offbeat Magazine, our live stream partner. Offbeat Magazine is one of my favorite music magazines because they do a really good job of curating the old, the new, the up and coming, what you should hear. And so it's if you can support a magazine, go ahead and support Offbeat Magazine. But thank y'all so much. As you know, I just want to give some updates for New Orleans area volunteers. We have our grocery distribution every Saturday starting at 8:30. So walk-ups are welcome. We're bagging outside 3310 First Street. That's in Central City. And so it's on schedule. We'll have groceries. We'll have fruit. We're not sure what we're going to have until we get it the day of. But come out. 3310 First Street. What else? Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if I made this announcement last time, but I'm so happy to announce that my project, my band, the Cole Williams Band, has been invited back to perform at the 2024 Jazz and Heritage Festival in New Orleans for the second time on Rolling Stones / Cole Williams Day. Yes.
All right.
So, what makes me really excited is it's not I love to perform because that's my expression, but what a beautiful time, like in my life and just like what I'm doing to be able to like bring a message to like more than just like the people in New Orleans, but to bring it to the world on that Congo Square stage. So I just feel really privileged and honored that like I was chosen at this time because it's the right time. It's not just about me. It's like about us. So if you're in New Orleans on May 2nd, you better come out and support music in action at its finest.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, I know we probably have some new viewers, so I want to give an introduction to what we do. Like, why do I work with the houseless? Why am I a musician that crafts my music to uplift not only the houseless, but poor people, just anybody at the bottom? So, and for our viewers that have been following us, this is just a refresher. Can you cue up Organizing 101, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Everybody that work in this city hall, how can you look out your window, get out your car, like we ain't shit? I'm one of the homeless person that they can't just put in a box and say, oh, she's mentally ill, or something wrong with her. No, because I worked at Dave and Buster. You know, I have held several jobs and had to not work because of not having somewhere stable to be.
There are about 8,000 hotel rooms that are available in the city.
We're with the New Orleans Relief Citizens team, and right now we're coming to you to find out if you have rooms available right now.
We want to do what y'all need, not what we want.
For the people.
We want to know what y'all want. That's what this is about.
Well, here's the first thing everybody got to stop doing. Stop saying homeless. Start saying displaced, because a lot of people is forced into now this position.
I agree with you. A lot of these 501c3s don't even know poor people, and they're supposed to be serving them. They give them food or blankets or something, but they don't know them. They've never been in their home. They've never been at their table for dinner. People think the Martin Luther Kings and the Rap Browns and the Stokely Carmichaels, the people who made speeches, they think the spoken word is what built the movement. That ain't what built the movement. It's on that ground, knocking on doors, in them cotton fields and cane fields and tobacco fields, and meeting with people in bars and hotels and and washaterias and beauty parlors and barbershops. That's where the movement was built. If you look at those old footages of Martin Luther King and anybody else doing marches, you'll see a front line of intelligentsia-looking people and professional-looking people, and the whole march is just ragtag black folks. That's who stepped up. It's the ones in pain that know where they hurt and know what is needed for them to not have pain again.
We want city-owned housing to be made available for restoration and renovation for the houseless, by the houseless.
See, we out here doing it because we want the house. We need the house.
That's right. If we do one, the rest will come.
Oh, that's how it goes.
Once we build these houses, and there will be many, we give them away.
Everything here is donations. This is all grassroots. We haven't gotten corporate sponsorship. CORE came out here because they wanted to be a part of this. Our preventers out here, they want to be a part of this. Artivism is out here, they want to be a part of this. So this is really community-based.
We were there.
You were there. Every time I watch that, so many things just pop into my head. Wonderful. I really do feel like I'm part of a movement because I realize how important it is to document, to tell the stories, like to pass them on, to put it on film, to record the audio, like to write it down. You know, one thing that I'll just like say as a songwriter, but also just as an organizer, sharing is so important, and I'm so happy that Curtis Muhammad shared all of his work with me, like shared it in a way that it was just embedded in me and that I'm able to like just process it in real time. So, and y'all were there. This is amazing. It just feels amazing to like be a part of this work. You know, we meet. So right now we're working with, you know, one of our houseless volunteers passed away in December. And so his friends, they're still staying underneath the house. They're about 4 gentlemen. And it's so wonderful. Everybody just stepped in. Like, Mimi was doing the job of like 5 people because like literally 5 people. The 9-year-old girl, little Jacqueline, everybody has stepped up, and we don't feel the loss in the way that we would think that we feel his loss. We feel his presence. And talked to 2 of the guys, and a young lady with 2 children that just started coming, and asked them, are they interested in having a home? And they all said yes. You know, this is how we started organizing. We asked them, do you want a home? And they say yes. And so I said, well, we can help you. You don't have to pay anything, but we're gonna get a team of construction people, electricians,
wow,
to work with you. Are you willing to learn a skill that you don't know? So you've never done construction. Are you willing to do what you can? They all said yes. So I told them we have 3 options. We can renovate a blighted home, reclaim it, renovate it. We can look into a tiny home, or we can look into a container home. And so I said, think about it over the week, and then we'll touch base on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to touching base about this, because this is how we started. If we don't work with houseless people, if there's nobody on our crew that's houseless, not doing our job.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a phenomenal thing that you're not only providing hope and promise to the houseless, but you're also giving them access to learn skills and develop something that they haven't had access to before. And I think that's really phenomenal. You know, I'm curious on, you know, how are you finding, you know, these construction workers, you know, these individuals who are sharing their time and their skills and teaching and holding the hands of the houses? How are you sourcing these individuals, these organizations?
We got to organize. Same way I have to do everything. I have to find, you know, construction companies literally at Google. So as a team, you know, you met a lot of the volunteers. We delegate, so at least 2 of us will just be searching, you know, for organizations, for unions, and then we cold call. You know, that's how we organized at the beginning of the pandemic. Is we called the council person's office. We called the governor's office. We called, the federal government. Like, we got people on the phone, and we kept calling until we got people on the phone. So it's tedious. The system isn't made for people to organize in this way. It doesn't serve. People don't get very rich off of this type of organization. So it's a little difficult at times, but to keep going in a straight line, take a break when you need to. I never stress out. Like, if I'm tired, I'm not organizing. My heart must be in it. So we just got to try and do that, and also just fundraise. So the GoFundMe, that's right now going to build 2 container homes, 2 tiny homes, or renovate a home that's large enough to house a mother and child in their separate space, like a double in New Orleans, where those gentlemen can be in their own space, and that way they'll have their privacy. So that's the ideal situation. So if you want to donate, GoFundMe, please.
Yeah, can you put that link in the chat, in the public chat when we go to the next video?
I will, absolutely. Thank you. And so Louis, we haven't talked since you came in January, because I was so curious to hear about your experience. Fabian and I chatted, and you jumped right in there. Some volunteers, you kind of gotta tell them what to do, and it's like once you saw what it was, it's like you were there for years. It's like you started off with me, and you said you had experience just with your hands, and I'm just curious to know, what was it like? Paint the picture. How did you feel? And yeah.
No, it was, well, I mean, first of all, thank you. The first thing that comes to mind, and that came to mind right as we got back from visiting with you and helping, was gratitude. It was more of a benefit to me, I think, than it was to anyone else involved.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Well, it's very easy to find yourself separated from society in today's world, and that was a moment where I was not separated from anything. I was right there. But I'll run it down a little bit. So for me, I want to stay with what's relevant, but I do want to mention this sort of personal thing. I just show up out of the blue, and people are kind of looking at me. Who's this guy? I felt that, at least. And I said to Fabian on the way back, I did a lot of smiling this morning to try to gain some trust. And I'm not particularly accustomed to having to do that in order to, to get through the day. So that was really informative for me. But as far as food goes and the going right to work thing, I started to work in my father's produce company when I was 4. We would go in on Saturday and sort out produce, separate out the stuff that was going to go up front and separate the stuff that was going to be given away. So I was like, I'm 50 years later, 60 years later, I'm right here,
We missed you in that section because you hauled ass from the car to the table.
Yeah, just do it. And I did mention to you at the time, I think, and since this is broadcast, there's a lot that people who are busy doing other things, some people are going to work and building bridges. Some people are doing logistics for Amazon. Some people are working in a warehouse and already know some of the skills that are needed in order to be able to get food. It's a distribution system, right? There's a lot of the helping and the appreciation and the need, but at its core, you're performing a logistical function. Yep. You're distributing food to a place that it isn't being distributed. So I think that there are people out there who would really enjoy being a part of it and coming and helping and helping it not only be easier for the volunteers and for you, but also can reach more people and more volume, because obviously more is needed. So those are a few of the takeaways. In general, I'm always
amazed at the humility and the kindness of humanity at a basic level.
Yeah.
It's just when it gets more complicated is when people start to get more agitated and and start to have little circles of hate, as a friend of mine calls them. And so, I mean, I don't know. Just thank you for letting me be in that space, because I couldn't have really gone to that space myself and felt as comfortable as I did with you.
I think, you said two things that were really profound for me. And one of them was being in the space, and the other was speaking about the distribution and how it can be expanded. Like, there are actually people that have this skill and how we can tap into that. And, I think, so number one, so we have Trader Joe's and Culture Noah as our two food providers. And so one of them has, so with Trader Joe's, we're almost like the third on the list, right? So it's going to like Trader Joe's from someone else, and they're distributing to a bunch of people. And so what we've noticed is that the food that we get from both spaces is lighter. So there's literally something happening. I remember we used to get, the van would be packed with food. And now sometimes, like what you saw, that was like pretty heavy for, what we've been getting lately. So we do see like the loss and what we're receiving, and we know it's coming from somewhere. We don't know where it's coming from.
Well, I mean, it could be as simple as the fact that food prices have gone up and people are paying much closer attention to how it's presented. I mean, there's a lot of waste in the main distribution system that might not have been addressed until the prices start to go up. And then when you start, when grapefruit costs $4, less get wasted or less get donated, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be part of it.
That sounds fair. Yeah, it's definitely like a loss everywhere. And then, what you said about the first thing that you said about feeling comfortable in the space, and like you felt like you had to. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but you said you made an effort to smile more. I guess just to make people feel comfortable. Is that?
Well, I was very much aware of being an other.
Okay, so one thing that we haven't spoke about in this program a lot, but that's very relevant to what we're doing, is that there's an equity issue in this country and society where if you look light, white, that you have access, whether or not you have that class level, but just like having that appearance gives you the right. So as a Black person, I know a lot of us feel that way. The way that you felt, that's a regular feeling for us.
You talked about this.
That's a regular.
What did you say? Do you want to say what you said when I said I smiled a lot today?
Well, it's finish your thought, Cole, because that's that.
So first, actually, before I go on, I want to say I'm so happy and I'm thankful that you said it, that you were transparent, and that you were comfortable to say it, but also like comfortable enough to be aware of it, because that's like where we run into issues with like how equitable do we want to be, right? How uncomfortable do some people want to be? And because Black people, so I'll speak for myself, because I've been uncomfortable most of my life, then we're going to continue to be uncomfortable, because in order to get progress, all white people need to feel uncomfortable to then feel comfortable, because that's therapy. Like, I'll share just personally going through therapy, going through progress. They say sometimes it all has to fall apart in order to be rebuilt. And so what you experienced, like, it feels like a minor thing, but the purpose of that experience for me is remember it in the spaces that are not like this. Remember it in those spaces where you don't have to feel, where you don't have to make that extra effort, because like that's where it counts, and that's where we start to pass it on. And I also wanted to say one more thing, Fabian. So that space is a lot of Hispanic, and we don't get a lot of white males in New Orleans that look like you, that would come out and do the work. Like the guys that have come out and do the work, not to stereotype anyone, but they have like more of a hipster look, So it's like they're used to. Well, you're not hipster anymore, honey. You grown man.
You're grown.
So, I think, and especially in a city like New Orleans, where there are a lot of traditions and there's a lot of segregation and racism that still exists. Oh my Lord!
You upset him now.
Oh my goodness. Ah, you, what? Listen, you know what you need to get then? Get that hair. Because
Oh
they
my
come with the
goodness.
long hair too. But anyway, I think it's like really interesting that you felt that in that space, because I also think they're not used to seeing like a certain type of white male in their space.
No, I mean, you said it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stated out loud what I was kind of intimating. But yeah, I mean, people were looking at me like, not really sure about this one.
It's really, for me. It's really
rightfully so. It was fun. You know, I got through it. It was absolutely fun. Yeah.
And next time you're going to be good.
It's funny. Well, not haha funny. It's interesting that you use the word uncomfortable. You know, it's a running joke for me and my wife when we're out and about, or when we're, just, whatever, maybe out to dinner, or maybe it's an event, whatever it is, she knows that I'm scanning the room and I'm saying 1 minority, 2 minorities, 3, and we tapped out. There's, and I go through ranges of emotion, and maybe one of them is uncomfortable, and maybe that's the initial emotion, right? Then it gets to this point of, I made it to a place where other minorities haven't made it to. Like, should I feel grateful right now? I go through this range of weird inner dialogue with myself, right? And then to hear Lewis talk about his experience and having to work at trying to be welcomed into a group of people where he is the minority, I'm like, oh, brother, that's...
Welcome to my life.
That's every single day, man. Like, what do you, 44 going on 45 years on this planet.
My
And
chest hurts right now. Like, I feel it, like, as you're saying it, because it's like you don't realize how much stress and trauma you're carrying until, like, oh, yeah. I don't, like, that doesn't have to be the way if, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because, the music and the action, when I first started working with Curtis Muhammad, his vision is that we're starting at the bottom, like, who are the most disposable, disregarded people on this planet? The houseless. But let's start there. But in every area of our society, we dispose of the least. We don't want to teach them how to get better. We don't want to take that time, because it took me a lot of time to learn how to relate to a houseless person. They shouldn't be grateful for me to be around, coming from my house and everything with my central air and heat,
right.
So I had to humble myself. And then if they don't want to talk to me, I'm not going to get offended, but I did at first. But why? So there's all these pockets of society. And as a musician, as an entertainer, we were really trying to get to that space. And it's getting there, because there's a bottom of the barrel in the music industry, right? That, like, it's the same running story where artists don't get their due. And then the artists that make it don't look back and educate, maybe for like an event, but like literally and in real time, putting those seeds back, not looking for anything, but just like, at least you have the information. Do with it what you want, but at least you have it, because really it's about the access to food, access to education, access to healthcare, access to water, access to electricity, access to these things that allow you to think for yourself and then as a collective.
May I follow up on that?
Absolutely.
I want to propose a concept, since we're live and people are listening. I think it's very easy to to look at the way things are. It's the music business, the society, capitalism, political system, whatever. See what's wrong. Work to change it. But in the process of working to change it, you have to ask yourself whether you are believing the system. Because if the system is wrong, the system is wrong. And there's no real benefit and gain that ever happens within the system, okay, unless the system changes. And so I guess the premise is we're going to fight to change the system. My proposal is disregard the system. You just stated that it doesn't matter if you're a poor musician or a wealthy musician, you haven't gotten it, right? It's not connecting. That's because you're coming out the other door of the system and believing it. When we came back, other associates at the trade show where we were said, how did it go? We really didn't say much of anything because I know that they're going to put it in a box.
Right.
All I said was, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to go out there and do that. And their heads went like this. And that's all I can do. That's all we can do. So I guess to close it up, the proposal is simply to just do the work, keep doing it. The system will fail. It always does. It always does. And actually, the system tells you that it is the whole system. It's not. It's half the system. When they talk about GDP and they talk about the stock market and all these trillions of dollars, it's not even 50% of the entire economic activity of the world. It's less than 50%. Even with all the trillions, more activity is happening doing things like you're doing, people sharing, people buying gifts for each other, people doing work for each other, people helping each other. So I just say, plow on with the work. Just brush them off. That's my method, or that's my.
Well, that's what we're saying is to teach, and that's what we're doing every Saturday. This has been a 4-year demonstration. We're seeing the growth. I continue to release my music and write these messages, and I hope somebody hears it, and then I don't care. I know I'm receiving a message, and then Medium, put out an article just where I talked about the work, and it's like another way that the message is getting out there. So I think that a lot of musicians kind of are relying on this system, and what we're saying is let's work together. Let's pull together. Let's not undermine and undercut each other. Let's pool our gifts, skills, talents, and resources together and create something.
I'd like to throw out, if I can, just that if anyone's watching this that's outside of New Orleans, that's in Philadelphia or Seattle or Austin or Delhi, India, and you know people that are doing this kind of work, can we all connect? Can you reach out to Cole, please, and say, this happened in my city? Even if you're not involved, but if you've heard of it in your city, love to see it in the comments to see who we can connect with and how to bring this a little bit further along.
Absolutely. Why don't we cue video 2? This is our Saturday distribution with the Greater New Orleans Citizen Police Team. A refresher.
Love it. Coming in hot, Miss Cole. Video number 2.
I know. Lots of mystery. Oh, your hair looks pretty.
What?
You don't feel well.
It's my own
I'm
fault.
sorry.
No, it's my own.
Oh, that smells so fresh.
Doesn't it?
Uh-oh.
Does it? Oh.
I got 2 banana boxes.
Oh, okay. After that, all the teachers would come to me and say, Mr. Mladenoff, how do you say this? Like this. go down in the comment, but you know I gotta ask them.
Okay.
Morning, Mama.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, thank
And
you.
then let me make sure I don't think.
Well, you know what? I got you. So maybe let's get some bags, and if you wanted to pack, do you want to pack it before you give it out, or?
I guess, yeah.
It's up to you because somebody could use somebody could use like a whole box.
That's right.
I don't mind that.
I don't either.
Okay.
My baby, Charmaine Neville. Now,
Nice.
Charmaine Neville has been doing this for a long time. So, like, you know, in New Orleans, everybody's your auntie. So she's like one of my New Orleans aunties. So I forget how we started talking about this. And she said, you know, I've been doing this for years. And so it's just interesting, you know, we're sort of separate, but then you end up finding your tribe. And she's very helpful, just trying to get us some more groceries, you know, when she can and coming out.
I love that. Something before we took that pause, you had said something about educating or teaching, you know, people, in teaching people. You know, the word that comes up for me is almost the opposite. The word that comes up for me is really unlearning the things that we've been indoctrinated for years, for our lifetime. You know, can you speak maybe a little bit, Cole, about some of the experiences that you've had with maybe volunteers, or maybe the houseless, or maybe some of the organizations that are supporting the cause, about the thought process that they go through in unlearning some of these things that they've been conditioned for such a very, very long time about the houseless?
That's a process. So, you know, whenever I'm working like with a group of voice students, or like sort of just coming in just to like train and just kind of help people with equity training, the first thing that I start with is that you can't be like one person with one group and another person with another group. So when I'm looking at volunteers, because this is my process that I've gone through for myself, is that I'm looking at where they're having sort of like a block. Are they having a block communicating past hello? I see some volunteers that say hello, but they never make any other conversation with the houseless. I see some volunteers that you can tell they're really nervous to go underneath the bridge and start volunteering. So like they'll stay close, you know, to me like the first couple of times. But then when they see just like how comfortable I am, they realize there's nothing to be afraid of. You know, let's be real, there's smells under the bridge. If you're houseless, you're not able to take a shower. So you maybe smell like urine or maybe feces or, you know, so as a volunteer, you have to put that to the side, because that's the space you're entering into their space, and their space is they don't have that access. So, you know, unlearning is one way to say it, but before we get to unlearn, it's like militantly and intentionally being only solution based. It seems like you're living in a dream world. It's like, but this is not real. How can this be? And I'm saying, and this is what I was taught, is that we got to dream like a child dreams. What do you want? Like, forget about like what exists. What do you want? And start there. And so like when we're teaching volunteers, it's about getting them to not unlearn first, but straight up go into solution. The problems don't exist because they exist all around us. We don't have to think about it or talk about them. The problems are right here. So let's do something opposite. Let's do the opposite. Instead of like addressing the problem to get to the solution, let's start with the solution.
Wow. I can imagine that taking a high level of thinking in order to get to a place to start from solution based.
I have Curtis's like voice in my head sometimes, because Curtis drilled me, because we'd be talking just about something in my life. And I'm like, yeah, but they stop, get out the weeds, Cole. You get out of the weeds. The rose is right there. Get out of the weeds. And I'm like, yeah, but I have to. No, you don't have to explain the problem to get to the solution because I'm older than you and I already know what the problem is because I heard it like 500 times because I got 10 kids. So we all have like those places where we don't need to hear the problem, but somebody wants to discuss the problem to get to the solution. And so you start to figure out like some people are stuck in the problem. And so those people don't last very long. Those people don't last long. People that nobody's perfect. None of us are perfect, but people that are not at least intentional about understanding that this is not just a physical demonstration, it's an emotional and spiritual demonstration because we're standing on, and I keep saying this, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. So this is not Cole Williams' thing. Like I just put a name on it because it's not Cole Williams' thing. It's the Greater New Orleans Citizens Relief Team. It's not Cole. So it's all of us doing this, but we're doing this based on these principles that got us through the 60s to here, but something happened, but there's some truth in those principles. So we're going to take them and we're going to modernize them. And I'm a young person and I'm telling you, I went through it. It took me a long time and I still go through it, but I keep people around me that check me. The people that I have in my close inner circle, they're solution oriented. And the people that are not solution oriented don't last. Because I don't even want them around. Because I feel myself like, oh, I'm going back to that place that I don't want to be in. Let me stay here. This is where I see results. It's real. And it's a process because society is against that. So you're like, you feel like you're walking against the current, going against the wind, moving against the current, but you're not.
Well, that's that system that Lewis was talking about earlier, the matrix or, whatever, however you want to call that.
The method of thinking and step out of it. That's brilliant.
Absolutely.
That's
and you
brilliant.
have to want to. Like, they say, like, if you want to stop drinking, you got to want to.
I don't.
If you want to stop smoking, you got to want to. Whatever it is that you want, you have to want to. So it's the want. Like, do you want to be solution oriented?
Yeah, someone would say intent.
Right.
And you really have to care for your intent and let it manifest.
Well, with this topic, solution-based thinking, unlearning, teaching, educating, something that comes up for me is just the syntax, is the naming convention, right? You've been saying houseless, and maybe someone new is like, well, what's this houseless word? What you're talking about? I had this conversation with my wife. She said homelessness. I'm like, we don't. That's not what we say. She says, well, what are you supposed to say? I said houseless. I mean, now look, if you knew my wife, that's the only time I've ever checked her on anything when it comes to anything social.
That's right.
But I had my moment. I appreciate it. I had my moment. It felt great. So why is that? So homeless, houseless, unhoused. What do these terms mean? What's the right thing to say? What's not the right? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So when we started demonstrating with the houseless, and back then in 2020, we were saying unhoused. That was one step away from homeless.
Okay.
We didn't feel comfortable advocating with people and calling them what society calls them, but also like we asked them. And then we heard displaced. So for me personally, it's about taking the baby steps to get to displaced. The houseless and the unhoused is really about helping people humanize the people living on the street, because ultimately, like in the video Organizing 101, he said, stop calling us homeless. We are displaced. And that's the truth. They're displaced.
Mm-hmm. Homeless is so permanent. It's
and
it's so like monocultural, like it's just
a structure.
You're this.
And now stigma.
Everybody's the same.
Yeah.
And you're this. And it's not true, right?
I mean, that woman, she said she works at Dave and Buster's. There were people protesting, demonstrating with us that had day jobs that were able to get a hotel room, for a week because of their job. So people are working. People are working side by side with people that don't have permanent housing, and you'd be surprised because of the stigma. I think a lot more people are struggling that are willing to admit it.
Yep.
And I think if we would all just be transparent, Curtis always talked about transparency. He taught me, I thought I was transparent, no dark corners, because this work that we're doing is social, but you got to understand it's political too. Some people think it's political. I think it's social, but some people think it's political. Like, you're going to teach people how to think for themselves and like discover the genius in themselves. That's dangerous. So transparency is key with my volunteers. People don't understand. I'm taking notes from the moment I meet somebody because I got to know who's around me, because I got to trust them, because I've almost been run off the road and things have been bugged and tapped. So the transparency is on all levels so that we know who's a plant in the organization. You know how many plants we've had? And they haven't stuck because we're so transparent.
You said something a moment ago about stigma, and what came up for me was actually my experience, Cole, a few months back when we were in New Orleans, and me being in the moment, looking around and looking at people coming up to receive the gifts, and it's I have to say, some people fit the stereotype that I had in my mind of what someone would appear to be as a houseless person. And then I would see people that looked just like the three of us here on this program, right? And then everything in between. So what comes up for me is, there's probably some thoughts out there that, are houseless people, are they complacent? Are they doing this, because they just don't have the means, or they just give it up? What is your experience with the different dynamics of people that you've interacted with over the years of doing this?
So I think that was a real description. Like, you find everyone on each end of the spectrum and the people in between. This is just me, just personally what I think I've seen and experienced. It always boils down to education. Education and family support. If you have a 5th grade education, right, and you're 35, like, what kind of work are you going to get? Like, what level of work can you get? So now you're in a box where you can only do a certain type of work and you can only make a certain type of money. But you need a certain amount of money to live. So you're not able to access the jobs, right? Because of the lack of education, lack of support system. A lot of people don't have a strong family support system. One man in particular told me that he was incarcerated, wasn't really on good terms with his family except for his grandmother. So when he got out, his grandmother passed away. And then his sister didn't split the home with him. So he's out there on his own. So, everybody has a story. Just like, each one of us, me, Louis, Fabian, we have a story. A different story of like what kind of life we've lived, what our process to being the kind of people we are now, where we gel because we have some humanity. I think that's like why we gel. So like what is our process to all get into this place of humanity? And I think everybody that's living on the street, they have their own process, like things that happen in their life, things that they weren't given, things that were taken, things they weren't ready for. Some people can't afford to make a mistake, right? There are a lot of people that don't understand that. Like a lot of my friends, white friends, they can afford to make mistakes. Like they got their parents that backed them up, for the first album, trying to get a tax write-off. I paid for my first album. I paid for my second album. I had to learn the business, like by going through the business. So some of us cannot afford to make a mistake when a mistake happens, right? You're out there. Mm-hmm. So I think like, let's humanize it. It's not just drugs, alcohol, mental health issues, being formerly incarcerated. Some people like actually try to do the right thing and, life kind of beat them down and they may not have those skills to just keep picking themselves up.
Wow.
Why don't we play, on a little lighter note, why don't we play this video? This is kind of the song. So Give Power to the People. That was the song that just, I was feeling the movement and I just Like, you got to empower the people. And the more that I'm in the movement, the more I see the peaceful, it's not about the fight. Like, you fight in defense of, like, we defend freedom. It's a human right. So I'm going to defend my home. I'm going to defend my home. That's my space. But when we're living in a space of love. So this next song, A Better Woman, that was like my entry into this like really holistic space of organizing where I don't want to be known as an activist. I want to be known as an organizer. That's all I'm doing. And it's called A Better Woman. And it's about being around people, men. I've been privileged to be around men of all kinds that have made me a better woman because they have just loved me. Father figures, boyfriends, all types of men. So I don't feel like men are kind of like at the bottom of the barrel. They're not allowed to be emotional. And I think it's really important that when men share, that you really encourage them. So this is like my encouragement song for all people, but specifically for all men. Like, yeah, A Better Woman.
Beautiful.
Treat me like you do. Our love so real, the answer to prayers, a dream come true. Oh, I wish I could hold your hands forever. Oh yeah, how much do I love thee? Let me count the ways we always take you in these places where people need lifting. People need lifting. We are that song, giving power to the people. A love that teaches us. You teach me how to love. You're my want and desire. If it feels this good to be used, just use me up. You're my ecstasy, my one burning fire. Oh, I love anyone as much as I love you. You're a gift to me. You're light to give to the world. You are a song we need it. Take you in these places where people need lifting. People need lifting. We are that song, giving power to the people. A love that teaches us to care. A song, always take you in these places where people need lifting. You are. We are that song, giving power to the people. A love that teaches us to care. I'm a better woman for loving you. Yeah, yeah. Power woman to be loved by you. To know you is to know the truth. Power woman to be loved by you. A better woman for loving you. Power woman to be loved by you. To know you is to know the truth. We're better. Power woman to be loved by you. Better.
Go ahead, girl.
Jamaica, they say trash and ready, girl. Get trash and ready. Yes.
Top ranking. Top ranking.
Before if you guys are just joining, A Better Woman, Cole Williams, you did such an eloquent introduction of that song and a homage to men, and then like listening to the lyrics, I'm like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I see where you're going, and that's important, right? We've mentioned the word stigma in this program a half dozen times, and there is this stigma that men can be very, it's not cool to be emotional, apparently. But I think what I'm getting from this conversation, not just with the houselessness, but what I'm getting from it is there's a lot of things that we have to deprogram from. There's a lot of things that the system is telling us to be or how to act. And I think what we all need, or what the society or what the world needs, is more thinkers, more philosophers, more people who actually come up with their own fucking ideas. I don't know. How about that for size? You know?
All powered by the heart.
Love.
The mind goes to all these places, you know, those places that kind of don't even exist sometimes. You know, we create things. So, like, always feel it with the heart. And for me, what's helped getting me out of my individualism and into my collectivism is, if it's for me, it's for them. So, like, if I can have access to it, then they can have access to it. So, like, I'm always, like, open. And so I just see these doors open. Like, I'm able to teach, you know, classes and share this work that I've been doing, you know, for 4 years, which is not a long time. So I think it's the heart. The heart, and the heart, like, fuels the mind, and then, you know, keeps it on track. And then you got your people that help keep you on track, because you're transparent. So you're talking about the things on your mind, and then you got somebody wiser around you that's like, hey, bro, but you know.
Well, you know, that kind of brings us to the top. You know, our theme song here, "Give Power to the People." You know, how can we each share how we can give power to the people during this month? You know, what's that concept mean to you? You know, where can someone like me, where can someone like Lewis, where can someone like anyone watching, where can they start?
Starts with what you want. You can't design anything better if you don't want better for you, right? So all the value that I'm saying that we should have with the houseless, I have that value for me too. So I want us all to have. So I would say whatever you do from your heart, that you don't need anything in return, whatever it is. You don't have to be hardcore, because I'm just hardcore. So don't look at me and say you got to be hardcore like me. Like, I don't judge. You know, for me, it's about, like, word is bond. Whatever you can say. Whatever you say you're going to do, like, you do. So if you say you're going to bring the lemonade at 5, bring it by 5:15. Like, we good. You don't have to cook the steaks and I feel like find something that you can do that gives back to your community, but, like, that's at the bottom. But fill a hole. Like, stop all going to the same holes, the Red Cross and all these organizations. Find an organization that needs help.
Get local.
Like, start there. Like, if that's, go under a bridge. You know, start where you feel comfortable, but always know you got to get to the bottom. Because, like, I always talk about this bowl of rice, this pot of rice, because I always burn rice. But you cannot clean the pot of rice unless you start from the bottom. So you soak it, and then that lift is so easy. It's almost like you're peeling it out like a cake. So I think I've experienced it. I know it can happen. Curtis taught me. He experienced it. He told me you can experience it. I lived it. I trusted him. And I said, all right, I'm on this path. I've been on this path my whole life. I might as well put it to where it could really be useful. And I've seen it. So start wherever you can start. I started with a concert under the bridge. That's where I started. Let me give out some toiletry kits. Let me give out some food. Let me hook up a generator to, you know, my mic and my bongos and a trumpet player. And then we played. So it started with just sharing music. So whatever you can share from the heart and have a conversation, you can't go wrong.
Wow.
Cannot go wrong. I promise. I don't make promises. But this one I promise, because it's a divine promise. It ain't me.
You know, I have to thank you for your time and your talent and your words, your infinite wisdom, your servitude to, you know, mankind. People like you make the world go round, and I think you need to hear that more and more. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. I want to thank, you know, all of the people who tuned in and watched and shared and commented. I want to thank our streaming partner Offbeat for allowing us to broadcast on their channels. Next episode that we have coming up, we're going to welcome the Covent House of New Orleans for a necessary discussion about youth houselessness. Of course, we have some new music. Cole's releasing new music next month. We have a track titled Inherit the Earth. Peaches Manifest, and Organized Humanity Mix. That's going to be an EP. Please go to colewilliams.bandcamp.com and support independent music, support Cole. I know people watching understand it takes a lot for us artistic people to get things out to the world, so the support is everything. Stay up to date with the Greater New Orleans Citizen Relief Team by going to I wish I had my glasses on, Louis.
Okay, GNO Citizens Relief Team.org.
I think what we should do is just paste all of this into the description of the live stream as soon as we wrap.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
we'll just do that in a couple of minutes.
That sounds good.
And everyone can just revisit the video or stay on and look at the description. It will update and all the details will be there. Or we'll just do it as a comment.
I love it.
In there. Okay.
All the above. And next time I'll bring my glasses when I'm at Lewis's place to make sure I can read my notes.
We'll have a pair ready for you.
What's your font? What's your point?
It's not big enough.
Font size 18. Right here. It's not big enough.
That's the font size for today.
Oh, that. Well, on that note.
Amazing. Cole, thank you so much. Any last comments before we jump?
It's always good to have a really nice conversation about what's happening and what we can do. I hope somebody is inspired, at least one person. And in the words of Curtis Muhammad, you can't build a revolution without figuring out how to pick us up from the bottom. See y'all next month.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next month, same time, same channel. Cheers.